back to Mzansi Madness, episode number 6, I think. I'm here with my friend Tara Zulu, who's been on before, on I think it was the second episode about stereotypes and cliches. It was wild. Tara is an actor, poet. Okay, we're stopping there. She does a lot of things, but she's an actor, and I want to talk to you about slut shaming. So actually, I got a message, an inbox in my Instagram. Somebody slid into my DMs and was like, "Please, can you do an episode about slut shaming?" And then I was like, "Okay, let me do that." I asked the person that asked me the question if she wanted to be on, but she was like, no, thank you. She was
understandably
scared, I guess.
so.
Understandably. And then I asked Tara, because I was like, she'd do anything.
Because I've got a big mouth and I've got a lot of opinions.
So we're going to talk about slut shaming today. Big topic. Do you want to actually... I've got it. This is so tight, I have to loosen it.
Oh, babes.
Okay, so...
I'm going to digress. I just want to say that to you from the beginning.
I'll try and take you back, though.
Good luck.
Cool.
I know it's your show, but I think it's very important. See my t-shirt? I think it's very important that we talk about women and our sexuality and the chains on our sexuality. So I might get very emotional and digress and talk about other things that have nothing to do with slut shaming. But that's go ahead.
But let's start with slut shaming.
Cool.
Let's start with. Do you want to explain actually for whoever doesn't understand, doesn't know what?
Can you explain your definition of it?
Definitely not, because I was relying on you on being
really
eloquent and explaining.
So my understanding of the word slut is that if you are sexually involved with more than one person at one time. Mm-hmm. So it's the shaming of that. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, slut shaming is never really that. Because like a lot of slut shaming starts like grade 7 up to high school and all of that stuff. And most of the times, the people that are slut shaming aren't sluts in that definition. A lot of them are virgins. And it's just caused by a girl either being jealous or a guy being hacked that they couldn't get the girl, or, you know, the way they carry themselves make them seem like they're slutty or having sex. So the definition also just, it doesn't connect with how it's actually used. Yeah. So I don't know.
That's actually interesting because when this woman DM'd me and asked me to talk about slut shaming, firstly, I didn't realize that because she's a lot younger. She's like a decade younger than I am. And
so how old is she?
So she's, like in her pre-teens, I guess. So no, she was talking. She mentioned it, and I was surprised because I didn't realize that was really that was still happening with the younger generation. Because I thought, everybody's like sex positive and like body positive. And
that's only us now, like mid to late 20s.
No, I thought it was the younger generation. Like if I look at like my sister's generation, like my baby sister's generation, they're like in their late teen, like in 18, 19, 20.
Oh, really? Okay.
And they're like super body positive, at least from what I'm witnessing from as like an older sister kind of thing. They seem very body positive, very sex positive, very, open. And so I didn't think that was still a thing. I definitely remember from back in the day, from my generation growing up, that it was a huge thing. But specifically, I remember, especially coming from girls towards other girls, and a lot of the time girls that we were obviously jealous of. Like I definitely remember hearing this thing like, did you see so and so, she's such a slut, did you see how she picked up the pen or whatever and like bent down in front of Michael, she's such a slut, and like nobody was having sex. You were like, just 12, 13, 14 years old, and it was the girl with the big boobs that everybody was jealous of because like the guys were giving her attention kind of thing, and like it was like clearly a way of putting, I don't know in how clued up we were even about sexuality, so I think probably not that much. But definitely that's where that kind of, the seed was so but you know what I mean. And How?
I think, you know what, I think that concept comes from, it's just a way to keep women, what's the opposite of liberated? Sexually unliberated. That's English is not my English is not my mother tongue. Just
it's my mother tongue, but I
oppressed. Yeah, it's sexually oppressed. Yes. I think in high school, I think where it came from is seeing. I think we're taught as women that sex is something that happens to us and not something that we take part in because it's something good for us, right? So I think, and your sexuality also at that age is taught, I feel like you're taught to suppress it. So it's like, sit this way and like, you can't wear this because there's men in the house, even if it's your uncles. Like sexuality is always, interpreted as a bad thing. So when that's been pumped into your head and then you see a Thandi who is, comfortable and she walks with confidence, and when a boy talks to her, she doesn't shy away. She's, that in your mind, that means she's doing other things that you aren't doing, therefore being a slut, when it's really just they have a confidence that they were taught and they're okay with their sexuality, even though at that age it's not really sexuality. Yeah. But that comfort of being a woman and not suppressing anything is then, you see it as a bad thing, and therefore you must be a slut or slut adjacent.
Slut adjacent.
Or slut adjacent. Because it's never really, it's never about actually you having more than one partner. It's everything else.
Except for sometimes it is though.
But how often? Like you're saying, it would be like, she like picked up a
right.
Or she,
okay,
like,
but I mean, but sure, that was when we were 12. But I'm wondering. That's what I'm saying. Like, I was surprised that this is still such a big thing because I thought it's kind of like not ready anymore. People are more sexually liberated than they were, 10 years ago or whatever. So I'm surprised I was surprised, honestly, that she messaged me and she asked me to talk about that because clearly she's been experiencing something, that makes her feel like it's something that we need to be discussing. And I'm just wondering, what is it? Who's slut shaming now? And for what purpose? And
the same reason we were. The positivity is coming from us at this age right now. Because now we're 20-something-year-olds going, I don't want to wait 10 years till I have good sex. So our it seems like the slut shaming is over just because we at our old age have taken, old age, have taken, our sexuality into a positive light, and we're starting to engage more, and there's a lot of conversations are happening more. But I think at that age it's still the conversation with the parents hasn't changed. I'm sure there aren't parents having conversations with their daughters about masturbation and how
do you need that? I feel like I don't need that.
Dude, let me tell you. So the first time I encountered a conversation that had to do with female masturbation was in my second year of varsity. In high school, we'd always hear boys making stupid jokes about how they do their things. But I had never, not at school, like not in the sex education that we learned at school, nothing ever mentioned women and pleasure for women. Yeah. It was always, don't get raped, don't get pregnant, save your virginity culturally for the man that you marry. And
for the man who's been around the block like 20 times.
Right? So save it for the man, don't get pregnant because no one will want to marry you, blah, blah, blah. And it was never about me and how I would enjoy sex. So the first time my enjoyment mattered was when I had a conversation with my housemate and I were talking, and it somehow got to that. And she was like, she saw my masturbation, and I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, and she was my age, and she was like,
I thought so. Okay, in general, during your varsity years, I thought like in school, like it was like a subject that you were talking about.
No. This is just
so in general, the first conversation that you.
In general.
Oh wow. Okay,
yeah, in general.
Okay.
It might just be my experience, but in general, that was the first time, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, what? You've never taken like a mirror and just like put, and I was like, no. And she was like, okay, so get yourself a mirror. Here, send me some
Yeah.
articles. And she was like, figure yourself
Yeah.
out. I was 19. I was like 19 at
How
that
old
age.
was she?
She was my age.
Oh, okay.
But the reason why I'm telling you this is because you were saying who's talking to their kids about masturbation. Her mom was a single mom, and she taught her all these things. She taught her to, I mean, she didn't physically be like, yeah, but she must have sent her articles or something. But she taught her to take ownership of her body, and before letting someone else into her body, she made sure that she knew her body, so that when she did start having sex, it wasn't a one-sided experience. And I think that kind of education is something that we lack.
This is very interesting because I had a conversation with a woman. She's a makeup artist a while back, and she was telling me about her. She's a lot older. She's like in her early 50s, probably something like that. She's from. I'm always scared of saying things because then, you know, people might know the person that I'm talking about. Like the world is just too small. So anyways, she works in something and she's from somewhere, but but she was saying like she grew up in the village, and she was saying that before she got married, it was like her aunties that took her on and then showed her everything, like literally everything there is to know about sexuality, about pleasuring the man, but also yourself and knowing how your
yourself
body works.
as well.
Yeah, and I thought that was
good.
really interesting because she was saying it's. I mean, you know, she was kind of saying like, oh, you know, that's why like village girls know what to do because we get that education on everything.
Yeah.
And and that's kind of lacking in the city environment. I don't know. I have no idea. And also I'm not going to specify where she was from now.
No, I mean, there's so many people in the world. Where was she from? You can't have an honest conversation. And don't tell me her name.
No, she was from Zim.
Okay, no, you took mine. I think she's right though. I think it's important to, again, it's only half the conversation that I feel is had with us city folk, which is the man, and then the woman is left. Like, and the thing is, I'm not saying that like we should all be out here and you should teach your girls to be out here living their best sexual lives. Not necessarily. You can still have the same fundamentals, but just change the conversation. So with virginity, instead of being like, you know, you must save your virginity for your husband or whatever, rather say save your virginity until you know what you like and how your body works. So you still emphasizing the importance of, but you're making it about her rather than someone else. And not the
ownership of somebody. Yeah.
And then that will stop this thing of, you know, only having good sex in your 30s or faking orgasms for the first 7 years of your sexual life. Like this is stuff that we go through because we were never taught to like be okay with our sexuality and our sensuality and just our sexual experience. And does that still tie in with sex shaming?
I'm wondering. Yeah, I mean, because I think the point is that you are not supposed to experience yourself freely because otherwise you'll get shamed, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's actually interesting. I was because I did these episodes with some other people about relationships, and we kind of touched on this a little bit as well about female sexuality and a lot of these men running around doing their thing and not wanting the way that you doing their thing and not wanting to acknowledge that maybe the woman should also be doing her thing just as much, and having it seems serious problems when a woman lives her sexuality as freely as the guy does, because I guess there is something about like that feeling of ownership, like if you want to,
you're not supposed to. You're a vessel of. It's not something for you. It's something that's done through you.
But then still expecting now you're hooking up with that woman that she knows everything and she knows herself.
There it is, right?
But then
there it is. I want you to be a virgin, but when you have sex with me, you must know how to do the thing.
Yeah.
Don't watch porn. That's gross.
Yeah.
Why are you watching porn, you slut? And then it's like, don't have sex because now I must touch you after whoever else has touched you. Okay, but now let's have sex, but also you must know how to do everything. Like,
Yeah.
you've been doing it for years. Like,
And then also,
what do you
maybe being all for that woman that is liberated and knows what she's doing, but not in terms of relationship. Like, it's like, it's cool as long as we're not together, because then I can enjoy that body that knows what that body wants and what that body is doing, but not like on an emotional level.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, it's too freaky, because, you know,
But why
you've
is
been
it?
places.
But why can women separate that and men can't? Because we know that they've been having sex since they were like 13, which is just like a whole thing on its own, because most men have, their first time was with a woman older than them, and it's like some weird ass. So that's a whole nother thing on its own.
Wait,
but
is that in South Africa?
girl?
Or the world over?
Okay, I don't know the world of it, but there's
Isn't
a
that-
lot of there's
So
a
who are
lot
these
of
women that are having...
Bruh, that's what I'm saying. And the thing is, you know, men have been taught to be so emotionally shut down
That they don't
I had
talk
a
about it.
conversation, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he was like 14 or something, and it was like an older woman, and I was like, oh, bro, you know that's like sexual harassment.
But like, what does that mean, older woman?
Like older than 16, 17, 18, and they're like 14. If that was a woman, that's statutory rape, right? But in their mind, they've convinced themselves
That they should want that also?
You know what I mean? So, which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. But wait, is that like pedophile behavior? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, it is.
Because a boy that's like 13
That's
is a child.
Exactly, it is. But in their mind, it's like, oh, I'm cool, I'm, you know, older ladies. But that's... Men, there's a huge mental, emotional breakdown there that is weird. Because if that was reversed, and a 14-year-old girl was saying that her first sexual encounter was with a 18-year-old, 19, 20, everyone would be like...
I mean, it happens all the time, though.
Yeah, but still,
Like,
but
honestly, it
you're not
happens
like,
all
oh,
the
really,
time.
girl? Ow. You're like, that's a bit
Really?
weird.
I feel like that's almost normal. Like a what? A 15-year-old girl with a 19-year-old dude?
That's weird. To me,
It's
that's
weird. It's weird. But
Like,
honestly, who were the guys? I recently bumped into a dude that I used to hang out with when I was like 15 or whatever. But this guy is 10 years older than me. And so were his friends. And looking back at it now, I'm like, why the fuck were you hanging out with
Yeah,
a
but
15-year-old girl?
yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's super weird. But at the time, it was like... It was very normal.
Yeah,
it
but
wasn't,
if you
nobody
hear,
was
but if you
questioning
hear,
it. And like,
but who knew? Did your mom know that you were hanging out with people 10 years? It was
Probably
your
not my
little
mom.
friends that were like, oh, it's
Yeah,
cool, right? Yeah,
maybe.
so that's different.
but so
but
did
if-
all their friends. Like
But
they
looking at
were
it
grown
now,
ass men.
That's fine. But looking at it now, like now
Yeah.
you can sit back and be like, yo, that's weird. But if you sit back with the dude and they tell you that and you're like, yeah, that's weird, they'll be like, nah, dude, that was just, you know. They still, even at this age that they are as adults, don't see
They were
any.
like, "Wow, she was
yeah,
hot."
exactly. So
Yeah,
that's weird.
So creepy.
But why is it that women can separate the fact that you've been having sex for 10 years and it's whatever, but a man can't? Like you're saying, it's fine if we're just like hooking up, but in a relationship, if I know that you've been having sex since you were however old, it's like, that's a bit weird. You're loose, or you're, even though they won't say it,
loose?
like
I've heard that word.
Yeah, loose.
So much.
It's like Mzu was saying that if people know that you've been like sexually whatever, then you're not going to be a wife. What does that even mean?
I mean, we talked about that, and you have to watch the other episode.
It's just I can't. It's
But yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. But that word loose, I've heard so much over the past couple of years being back in South Africa.
yeah.
I'm not loose. Why are you loose? Like it's wild.
It's just if you're in tune with your sexuality and you're not shy to talk about things and you're not shy to like voice.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of positive sexual whatever it's called from women nowadays. Like people our age in our 20s and our 30s are very we're very outspoken and we stand up for ourselves, which is new because our parents weren't like this. You know, they were still in that you have to keep it here and it's for, you know, we are more like there's a girl that I saw with a t-shirt on that said if he doesn't give you head, don't fuck him or something like that. And I was like, yes, just out on the streets. I don't know. And I was like, yes, girl.
I mean, I would never do that.
I think it's great.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, like, yay, go live your best life, whatnot. But like, I wouldn't wear that shirt.
I thought it was great, and I was posting
Just so that people. No, but also that. Okay. So I think that's great if that's what you want and that's what you need within your whatever sexual relationship with whomever. But also, don't force somebody to go down on you.
No, that's that's obviously not what she's saying. But she's saying that your pleasure matters, and if it doesn't to them, then don't fuck them.
Right, but it also could be construed as
it's not.
You have to.
No, where does it say that? Why
If he doesn't go down on you, what's the wording?
Don't fuck him. If that's what you like and he's not willing to do what you like, then don't what's the other option? But then you must be there unhappy.
But mustn't you compromise within any? I don't know. It's very strong.
I don't think the idea was forcing.
I get it. I understand. But I'm.
Be okay to be like, okay, this is what I like. You don't want to do that. That's fine. Yeah. There's someone else that would be willing. You know what I mean? Don't do that. You know what I mean?
That sounds. I mean, I don't know.
But you know what I mean?
Sad for them.
No, but you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Because I think it's no. I guess what it's saying is like you need to be vocal about what it is that you want. And if there are things that you want within a relationship or within a sexual relationship, whatever, you should be able to say that, and your needs should be met in a relationship that you know.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you can move on. Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the wording, I mean, I don't know. But I see. I get it.
What isn't there?
I get it. I understand. But also. Just imagine if it was turned around and if it said, if she's not willing to go down on you, don't fuck her.
That's been the life.
Yeah, but isn't that where we're like, wait, no, that's not.
No.
Be so rude?
No.
Okay.
No. If your pleasure matters and if it doesn't matter to them, then.
Yeah, but isn't a big part of the problem with for women having sex with men, that these men are constantly, even if it's not rape or real coercion or whatever, but there's the subtle thing of like, you got to do what the guy wants you to do.
Yeah, so this is taking your power back, saying that's fine, but also I can also have the say. So if he also feels like that, then he has every right to be like, nah, you and me on sexual. This is where sexual compatibility comes in, and that was never a thing that mattered before. Sexual compatibility was never a conversation. It's just you have the parts, I have the parts. Let's put them together. But that T-shirt for me was saying, okay, now we need to look at sexual compatibility. Okay. And if this is what I like, and you don't do the things, or if this is the stuff that I like, and you don't do the things that I like, just because you have the equipment, it doesn't mean that I must go and use the things. You know what I mean? Okay. That was my.
Yeah. Okay.
I for me had never before seen someone so openly being like.
Yeah. This was a person just like walking on the street wearing.
It was a picture that I saw. No, it was a picture I saw on the street. It was one of those like street gang whatnots where they take pictures of people.
Okay.
So it was one of those.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. If somebody's like that, like open, then that's great. I would never. What if I bump into my grandma?
If your grandma knows what that says and she understands what it means, then maybe, she might clap for you. Don't think that just because she's old. Where do you think your mom comes from? She knows that life. She'd clap for you. But, a funny thing that my friend said the other day was, we were watching a Netflix documentary where they go to different countries and they look at like sex and how women and men like interact in that space. And the lady who's British, I think, was in Japan, and then she mentioned like faking orgasms, and all of them just had the same expression that every single woman has when that topic comes up. Everyone's done it at some point. Yeah. And she was just saying how ridiculous that, how universal that is. Like, it doesn't matter what culture you're from, how old you are. you know that experience. The minute someone says fake orgasms, all your the playbacks start happening. And my friend was saying how she stopped doing that.
Yeah.
She was just like, yeah, I don't do that shit anymore. And she's young, she's 27. And she's like, why must I, again, that thing of like women in their late 30s, 40s being like, oh, this is great because now I'm sexually, like, best sex in life. She's like, why must I wait? And then I was like, yeah, but like, isn't that like harsh? Like what do you...
Harsh?
Yeah, men's egos are so fragile. Because then, like, think about it. Why do you fake an orgasm in the first place? It's because you don't want to hurt the feelings.
Or
right?
also you want shit to be done.
But it doesn't happen, but you still fake it. Why are you faking it?
What do you mean?
Why do you fake an orgasm?
No, I just said, because you want things to be done.
To be finished?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you mean?
Yeah,
but
that's definitely another big reason.
But why don't you just be like, yeah, that
it's
was
finished.
Trash. Why do you have to give him a experience?
Yeah.
Like, why can't it just be done?
Without the guy
why?
coming. Yeah, because sex is always about the guy coming. That's what we were taught.
But he can still come without you faking an orgasm. So why do you feel like, why can't
because
you
but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying there are various reasons, and I guess the one is what you were saying, like fragile ego, what? Which is just so sad.
My friend was like, I don't do that anymore. Then she looks at me dead in the eye and she's like, you know, you can break a man. The way she said it, I was just like, damn, you're so. She's like, you know, you can break a man's ego and self-esteem like this. Because they all go and, you know, men, they all like, I do that thing, I hit it right, strokes, whatever they call it, I lay the pipe down. All of them have that, and then you experience and you're just like,
I've heard like guy friends say shit where I'm like,
I've heard about you and you're not like that. Exactly, but we give them this, by faking these things and we let them come on some, girl.
Yeah.
Women talk. We know that you're trash because women talk. So you might want to stop walking around the streets on some I laid a pipe down. Please don't come for me. I'm joking. I don't want men. But it's true. Women talk. Like we do things and then behind the corners we're like, oh my God, that was like the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. But we still feel the need to act up and perform. Why?
But that's what I'm saying. I think the other reason is literally because you're like, can this be just over and done?
But it can
be
done
without having a conversation. Just you know.
My friend was like, I'm just like, She said she was just like, she doesn't fake it. She doesn't try to. It's like, that's it. You're done. Okay. Okay, bye. And she's like, I can break a man's ego like this. Which is true. We need to stop because we're not educated in that sense to know that, you know, it's okay to give constructive criticism, you know. Then you spend 10 years of terrible sex because you don't say anything, which is why for me t-shirts like that, I'm like, yes, girl, tell them, you know. And it allows
you think it's like a message, like you're happy that she's wearing it because it's a message to guys to consider?
No, because it allows me to be, for me that was like, oh, okay, cool. So I can say something and like, cool.
Right.
You know,
for
some reason
it was empowering to you.
To me, yeah. So it's not even, I don't care how they feel, but to me as a woman, I'm like, oh shit, she's brave enough to be like, okay, cool, I can do that too. That's why I think shit like that is important. And that's why I think conversations like this are important as well. Because although our mothers and grandmothers and aunts might be upset about how we're talking and what we're talking about, there's a 20-year-old watching that's going to be like, okay, cool. Like this is going to help younger girls at least have a conversation, which I think is important. I wish someone could have had this conversation with me when I was younger, or like conversations like this were available for me to watch when I was younger. Because then I think there's a lot of I would have had a lot more power in interactions that I've had with men than I did. you also learn a lot from talking to women about this. There's only so much that you can you shouldn't have to experience everything you shouldn't have to learn from every experience. You should be able to learn from other people's experience and then make your situation a bit better.
But when you say that specifically, what is it that you would have wished that you would have been able to know in advance? Like the fact that you can tell guys what you want, or the fact that you, like, what's the main problem? Is it like that you feel like you can't explore your body in the way that you want, or you're not receiving any pleasure, or is it the main problem that you're scared of the guys and hurting them, or
just that sex should be good for me and can be good for me, and it should be something that I enjoy as much as he does. And I'm not saying it's a man's fault or anything like that. I'm saying that I feel like I wasn't educated in that sense enough to know that I should know about my body before anybody else does. I've learned that, but I wish I had been taught to explore my body and just all of that kind of stuff before, yeah.
I really think that this whole movement over these last couple of years, whether it be Me Too or whatever, men are trash, and you know, all of that's happening, and the discussions that are being had are extremely interesting also when it comes to sexuality, because I've realized also the guys around me, in light of this whole Me Too movement, for instance, started questioning their own behavior and started kind of, I think it was like kind of almost like a freak out moment for guys who, because this is the thing, it's like, you know, men were all raised in similar ways, at least, you know, within these societies. And so it's not like there's, you know, they walk among us, basically, these guys that are doing things that have made us feel uncomfortable, and they are your friends and your family members and whatever, you know, and they didn't know. Like, honestly, they didn't, for a long time, I think they really didn't realize that their behavior was not okay. And I think a lot of them now, in these last 3 years, have gone like, oh wait, what I did back then when I persuaded that girl to hook up with me after she'd said no, you know, that wasn't okay. But they didn't realize, because everybody was doing that. It was so normalized. The things that I experienced growing up in my teen years as well, I didn't realize that wasn't normal. It felt shit, but you feel like, oh yeah, that's what guys do.
Yeah.
They try and they keep trying, and then they push you on the bed, and then you kind of freak out, you know, like, yeah, like weird shit where you're like, growing up, you hear it on, like, at whatever parties, and there's alcohol and people are drunk, and then they tell you like, oh Michael, just whatever.
What?
Yeah, like, what, man, wild shit.
What?
And it's so fucking normal that you don't realize that it's okay for you to feel shit about it, even, because it's normal.
That's crazy.
You never had that?
No, I stayed away from boys until after 21, to be honest. The first boyfriend I had was after varsity. I stayed away. So a lot of the things...
Wait, but stayed away sounds like out of fear.
No, not out of fear. I just had... my home situation was a bit hectic, so I was focused more on that than anything else. But a lot of my information I got from my friends and through stories. So that's why, to me, that's wild, because I never used to party. I never used to. Okay. So I never got those stories. So
yeah,
that's wild. And at such a young age, it's weird that shit like that was happening at such a young age.
It was all the guys that like. I remember there was a guy that I made out with, like, at a club or something, and I mean, this is so personal, but like, he wanted to have sex with me at that club or whatever, I guess. I mean, sometimes you mess up memories as well, you know, but I was a virgin. I was young. I was like 15. I was a virgin. I was like, you know, but the way that he tried to persuade me to have sex with him was by making me feel embarrassed about being a virgin. So it was really weird. It was like and it's interesting because I heard this later on from younger kids around me who were saying that's even the reason that I remembered that situation, was because they were telling me stuff where, like, a guy was telling a girl like, oh, have you never done this, like, you know, why are you shy? Why don't you know how? You know, like that, like guilt tripping her into feel like, oh, the other girls do this, and like kind of making you feel like the odd one out, and like you're not normal. Trying to make you feel like you're not normal for not engaging in what they want you to engage with. And also, that's the interesting thing. Also, these power dynamics in terms of age, because this guy was like, you know, probably almost a decade. I was maybe 15, and he was maybe 23 or something. And so obviously he's very persuasive in the language that he's using, you know, and it's like you know, so you feel like, I mean, I didn't have sex with him, but I went out of that situation feeling really shit and really dirty and just horrible. And I didn't realize at the time that that was not normal, because I was here, and also because you feel so awkward, and because you feel like you yourself are not normal. That was his intention. So you feel like you can't be open about these conversations.
That's weird.
And yeah.
So peer pressure was a thing.
Yeah, but the peer pressure was coming from these individual dudes.
Yeah, I can't relate. I can't relate, but that's just really gross. That's scary. Because as much as you didn't fall for it, how many others did?
Yeah.
And again, how can somebody else make you feel some type of way about your body and the experiences of your body? Like,
I'm just sorry, I'm like having flashbacks as you speak.
Are you traumatized?
This guy, because I remember I went to go pee. Maybe this was a different guy. I don't know. I'm really confused in my head right now. But there was another guy.
Maybe we should have a therapist.
Who's a therapist? He said
you want to talk about such things?
So
maybe
wild,
just have like a therapist sitting so they can just in case it goes sideways.
This guy said to me, I peed. I was in the toilet. I peed. And he says to me, I can hear by the sound of your pee that you're a virgin. This is also...
That must have been scary at 15. I think more than feeling like ashamed, it's just like fear. Did you not feel any fear?
No, it was, I think it was straight up embarrassment.
Really?
Yeah, it was embarrassment about feeling like this guy can like see through me and knows things about my body that, you know, I mean, I was aware of the fact that it was bullshit what he was saying, but still, you're 15 and you're going like, what? You know? Like, you're very impressionable at that age. Like, this is, I mean, it's crazy because we look at 15-year-olds and sometimes we think that these, you know, that these girls, especially because of the way they look, that they're adults.
Yeah,
man,
now,
you're a child.
Yeah, now it's wild. There's just, I think, but even the way they look now is a lot different. Just because of all the stuff that is being thrown in their faces, you know, the Instagrams, the Twitters, back when we were younger, it was Facebook, like a MySpace, but also that...
Well, there was no Facebook when I was younger.
But I know. But like, when did Facebook
MySpace,
come in?
there was
MySpace. Okay, MySpace and maybe Tumblr.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't like girls twerking for some likes and shit like that. So we were more... Or it seems like we were more innocent because there wasn't so much stimulus of an older demographic that was being thrown in our faces. Not to the extent that it is now. Yeah. Everything is available to you and in like a lot of, like huge volume. That's true. Which wasn't, I mean, you can find porn on Instagram, you can find porn videos on Twitter, whereas back then you had to go to a porn site to see those things. Yeah. Now, whether you want to see them or not, you could be scrolling and shit pops up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just constant in your face stuff. I think, you know, I'm like the wildest thing. Also, like, wow. I was how old? It was here in Cape Town. I think I was back to this whole Me Too movement and some of your homies realizing that some of the shit they did was wild. I was at my friend was DJing. He was DJing somewhere. And my friends and I came out to see him. And one of his friends came up to me. I don't think I'd ever met this guy. But I knew the DJ guy. And the DJ guy was his friend. Literally, I'm at the bar buying a drink. This guy comes up to me. And I knew that they were friends. Comes up to me, whispers in my ear, when was the last time someone ate you out? never met me, has never spoken to me.
Cool.
I still remember how I felt, because I was just like, and also like I had never experienced anything at that point. So I remember feeling, I knew I was in a safe space because I knew my DJ friend was there, I trusted him, and I had my girlfriend there. But I remember feeling fear. And just from the thought that like in a crowd of people, you can still come to me. You don't know me, you don't know, but you still feel like you own some part of me that you can come and say, like, how do you say that to someone?
I feel like, who's
like,
this guy? Because I've heard those exact same lines.
No way, really?
Yeah, and I was at this event with a guy, so I was like, wow, this is, I mean...
Really? He doesn't live here anymore, the guy who said that. But, he probably doesn't remember, but like he's still friends with my friend.
But you didn't, you never said to him, what, did you respond to that?
I stood there and I was just like, what
Frozen,
the fuck? Because I'd never had someone say that to me.
Yeah.
I'd never like experienced that like being, like I was like an innocent one.
Okay.
Like I was just like, what
But
the
now,
fuck?
Since then, you never said to him like, yo, you remember that time that you said this and this to me?
I think I told my DJ friend.
Okay.
And he was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And he apologized for him.
On his behalf.
Yeah. What am I supposed to say? I just feel like even bringing it up to him, I just feel like,
Yeah. I mean, I would bring it up for sure. I would say to him, to his face, like, remember that time that you said, because I probably did at some embarrassment point that you felt. You want that, yes.
I probably did at some point, but it's just so gross. Like even thinking, I'm just like what in your mind?
Yeah.
And he's older also, so it's not like this was like I was 19 at the 9. I probably was 20 at the time. He wasn't like some stupid 20-year-old boy. He was probably 26 at that time. Yeah. So you should. I'm 27 now. So, like, surely, like, I don't know. It's just like how are they being raised that they can say things like that? I mean,
it's so crazy. The way like that discrepancy. Yeah. I mean, that discrepancy also just between that crazy openness, because how are they thinking that you're going to even keep it to yourself? Being able to say something like that in a public space to somebody that you don't know, as opposed to the way that women are supposed to hide everything completely,
and
even
also
when you're in a relationship, or even like
you're doing
it's
this to a younger. It's not even someone of your age gap that can be like, you know what, shut the fuck up. What the fuck are you saying? It's someone that you know is younger and like more timid, and they're not gonna like.
I mean, but that's why they would, because maybe they wouldn't say that to somebody who's older and is confident and is, you know.
It's so gross. Like, how many other like women have stories like that, where like a random guy has said like, but you won't hear a man. Okay, maybe you will, but the likelihood of a man being like, a girl came to me and was like, you know what I mean? It's just.
I mean, also, I feel like even if that did happen, which I'm sure it's not like it doesn't happen at all. I mean, you know, but even if it did, it's not the same threatening situation. Just because as a woman, there's always that added thing of, you know, it's not just that you feel uncomfortable and like potentially disgusted because you find that person unbelievably unattractive and like just feel grossed out. There's also that added thing of feeling like actually this person could possibly a threat.
Yeah.
And I think that is very much more rare for a man to feel threatened by a woman who is like hitting on him. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe there are guys out there that are terrified of some women who are. That is very possible as well.
Some women are wild.
Some women are scary. Yeah, for sure. But I just feel like a lot of the time guys cannot relate to these type of stories.
But you know what's crazy is that, you know, people or men who do these kind of things can still consider themselves as part of the good guys because they've never raped a woman. They've never, you know, done the big sexual harassment things, but like little things like that is still you know, harassment. And I think that's what the Me Too movement highlighted for a lot of guys, because they assume, or they take the good guy stance because they've never pinned a girl down, or they've never had sex with her when she was drunk. And it's like, okay, that's great, but you said this to me or this to her, and that's also a form of, a lot of people think sexual harassment is just like touching. They don't understand that the things you say and how you make someone feel, and even the way you look at someone, you know how sometimes you just by the way someone looks at you and you just want to like crawl out of your skin, like that is also part of.
But this was interesting. We were talking about this in the last episode with Mzu and Kanya, because we kind of digressed into this thing of like, what is harassment and where does harassment start? Because Mzu was making a point of like, what if you see somebody on the street, for instance, and you're like, wow, you know, I'm just like, I'm blown away by this person. I'm like terrified that I'll never see this person again. You know, could be the love of my life, whatever, you know. How do I approach that person appropriately that the person doesn't feel, you know, is it harassment if I could just approach somebody on the street, you know? And he was kind of trying to, I don't want to distort his words, but I think he was trying to say that sometimes it becomes difficult as a man to, I really don't want to butcher what he said, because a lot of the time I'll be like, oh, guys are like, oh, I don't even know what to say anymore. But I think there is a point, there is some truth to, you know, that thing of like maybe feeling, even especially because you can be like an insecure guy, for instance, as well, who's like now in the midst of this going like, oh yeah, you're ready, you know, I'm not even like, I'm not a confident guy, and also I shouldn't, you know, what is it appropriate, what is not appropriate. And there is also a truth to like, if you like the way that somebody looks, obviously you're going to be more open to that person saying something to you than if you don't like the way that somebody looks, you know. And so that is kind of,
I think the line for me would be, if you try, you just have to take it from the person's response. You should be aware enough to see when a woman is uncomfortable. You can see it in her body language, and it's your responsibility as a man to learn those things. Go to your female friends, go to your sisters, and ask them what signs they think they put out. Because you will see by their body language, by the way they respond. Like you see, but so you can't be blind to those things. I understand that a man is, because they're a man and you're a woman, they're going to try. Simply because if I see you and you're beautiful, I'm going to try. That's okay, fine. But where the line comes is when you see my response.
So I agree with, I do in parts agree with that. On the other hand, I feel like what you were saying as well, about also in terms of sexuality, as a woman, you've been so conditioned to make the guy feel comfortable and not hurt the guy's ego. I catch myself doing it all the time, and some of that has to do with fearing for your safety, that sometimes you don't want to leave a situation by going like, fuck off, like leave me alone, it's disgusting, and instead you'll be like, you know, it's cool, and then you're faking it, but you're doing it on purpose because you are trying to get out of that situation alive, right, to use extremes. But that person might just be a very good actor, you know.
But that's why I'm saying it's not enough you go and you speak to the women in your life, because you might do that, but someone else might not. And also it's like the nuances. So as much as you can be like, someone's like, hi, you're like, hi, look at what their eyes are doing, right? So are they looking at you in the eye? Like, we're having a conversation and I'm looking right at you. If I'm like, someone to put like, you can tell. Like there's little things, and again, I know it's difficult, but now, because as a man you know that there's a very fine line, and now it's become even finer. Now it's your responsibility to do the research. But there are always signs, even, and I understand it completely what you're saying about like, as a woman, you feel like you can't just be like, bro, leave me alone, because it's then going to be a slap or a fuck you bitch, or it's going to get aggressive. So a lot of the times we try and like, but even in that, there's still, it's not a natural and it's not an open exchange. And if you're looking out for it, I do believe that you will see it. But you will only see it if you've done the homework of trying to figure out what the signs are that you should be looking for. It's like anything. It's like depression or whatever. There's signs that you have to look for. You're not just gonna know. But that also is a whole nother thing about, you know, wanting to take accountability for your actions as a man, and it's a lot of hard work, and a lot of men just don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to have to look at you and see if you're twitching or whatever. It's that mentality of, if you don't want to, then you must say no. Otherwise, if you don't say no, then it's a yes. Because it's easier than actually paying attention and looking for signs.
Man, it's tough.
But that shit is scary because, again,
It's
even in
very
a crowded situation, as a woman, you can still feel threatened by one person in a fucking crowded situation.
I was in the traffic department at some point to whatever, collect something. And I was on my own, and I was, you know, using the car. And I don't remember the details of the situation, but there was a guy who kind of followed me to the car and then like approached me, and and he's like, whatever, he starts with like, I love you, right? From like from the get-go, first thing, like, I love you. I'm like, you know. And then at some point it kind of goes back and forth. I'm like, cool, but like, I'm just collecting something, I want to like leave, whatever. And now he's coming like super close, and I'm feeling like really not comfortable, but I'm still, the whole time I'm like, cool, but please, can you, you know, and there's people around, but I'm feeling like I don't want to embarrass him. Also, the race thing is a big thing, man. It becomes really difficult. I've had this in Germany a lot as well. This is really, because there was white people around, and I don't want to be telling a black guy to fuck off in front of white people, because I don't want to, you know, there's that whole race dynamic where I'm like, I don't want white people to see that there's a black guy that is approaching me. Yes.
Yeah, I can understand.
And so now I'm playing like this I'm protecting him when he's threatening my space. Yeah. Like the whole thing was like psychological, like it was really fucked up. And then, and at the same time, I didn't want him to feel shit, because I was worried about the next woman that guy is going to encounter. So you're trying to protect yourself, and you're trying to protect the next woman that this guy is going to beat up because he's angry, because he's just been rejected.
Yeah.
And it's like you're constantly playing this like fucking mind game. So I'm being respectful, but also trying to be like, you know, and trying to get out of the situation and trying to protect I felt physically threatened by this guy, because he was so in my space.
In a crowded.
It wasn't super crowded, it was also not
around.
like, it wasn't like, oh, I feel like there's a backup there, like people are witnessing, you know, but there's people there, and I don't want to get loud because I don't, so it's like you're constantly trying to like navigate, how do you know, because these guys are fucked up.
I saw something or read something, I remember when I was younger, where they were saying the reason why it's so easy to victimize a woman is because they're afraid to embarrass the other person. So in a woman's mind, it's like, you're trying to talk to me, I feel uncomfortable, but if I scream and you were really just trying to say hi and that's it, then it's like, oh, that's awkward. So you'd rather put yourself in more danger just because you don't want to embarrass another, which is like, why? Like, you were in fear of your life, but you were still like how, why? That's dumb. And I know, because I've done it as well, but it's just like, why do we think we're
like,
so...
why are other people more important than my own life, even?
You know what I mean? It's strange.
I had this
Again,
situation.
it's education, how, you know, you educate women about how their importance in every aspect, not just sexual, just as a woman, as not as someone's mother, not as someone's daughter, just as a woman yourself. Because it's always that thing of, she's someone's daughter, she's someone, but I'm also just as me. It should be enough as me to, you know, I should be enough on my own without having to be someone's anything, which isn't, again, you know, it's not. As a black woman, you have to protect the black man and not embarrass him in front, you know what I mean?
It's really crazy. I still don't know how to deal with that, honestly. I have no idea. I don't have the tools to... There was another situation where this was in Berlin, and I was working on a production, and it was so. I mean, this is years back, and I was working as an extra on set for this film, and the film already was like whatever, you know, German films. It was just like what it was supposed to be like it was a children's film. It was supposed to be like this anti-racist story about like, you know, white girl making friends with like, you know, people of color, and you know, loving them for who they, whatever, you know, there was, but really it was like wildly racist because all the people of color in the film were like, I mean, the cliches were just intense. So it was like a group of Africans and then a group of whatever, like Turkish people, whatever that was. And so I was part of the group of Africans, of course, and we were supposed to be this group of musicians coming from Africa.
Okay.
There was a couple of guys who were actually musicians on, you know, amongst these extras. We were maybe like 7-8 people or something.
Yeah.
I can't tell if it was supposed to be like a family or like it was just like the Africans, right? They do the music.
But all the Africans know each other.
They all, so, you know, works out that way. So then, so we were filming outside of Berlin. So we had to travel there by like a combi bus or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were put up in this hotel, and already on the route there was a guy who honestly could have been my father. In fact, possibly he would have known my father from when my father was back in Berlin, back in like the 80s or whatever. A musician, and like, you know, and while we're driving, he's getting drunk. So I'm already feeling like uncomfortable. Like, why? We weren't shooting that day. We were only going to be shooting the next day, right? And I was like, so I was supposed to be a part of this music group. I mean, this is a long fucking story, but I don't play an instrument, and I'm very not musical at all, right? So this guy was telling me, don't worry, I'm going to show you one of the easy instruments, and then you can just play that one, you know. Also, in retrospect, I'm like, why the fuck? Like, they didn't book me as a musician, so why do I have to? But anyways, but now, like, already on the drive, he's already kind of like, you know, being too close or whatever, and I'm like, once I get to the hotel, I'm gonna fuck off into my room. Like, I know that I'm gonna do that because I don't want him, because he's talking about he's gonna show me how to play this instrument, whatever. I'm like, I don't. And then we get there, and I literally slip out, quickly go to the reception, quickly get my key, and then want to go. And then he kind of stops me and he's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm gonna go to my room, I'm really tired. And he's like, I need to show you the instrument. I'm like, it's fine. I'll figure out the instrument tomorrow. Like, I'm cool, you know. And then he says, I'm gonna knock on your door tonight. Like at 2, whatever. He's like, I'm gonna knock on your door at 2 at night or something. I was like, don't do that. Literally, like, don't you dare do that. And then I walked off. 2 o'clock at night. This motherfucker knocks on my door. Swear to God. No. And I'm lying in bed what the fuck you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is going on? This guy, I said to him straight up to his face, I said, don't you dare. And then he fucking knocked on my door 2 o'clock in the middle of the fucking night, the day before we were going to start shooting. We were going to do like 4 days together. And then the next day, I'm like completely ignoring him. Then he tells another woman that was also part of our group, he's like, oh, she's angry at me, da, 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 whatever. Like making it like trying to guilt trip me into crazy. Like I'm being a bitch kind of thing. And simultaneously slut shaming her for her t-shirt that she was wearing. She was wearing a booby shirt. Like,
and we're back boobs, to slut shaming,
right? So he was like, "Come on, cover up here." They're not friends, right? They know each other because they're, you know, black musicians in Berlin. But he was slut shaming. I guess that's what slut shaming is. He's like, "How can you wear this? This is like too revealing."
Well,
like,
he was knocking at your
African
door
woman. Last night he was knocking on my door
after you said no.
Wild,
and now he's the same guy who's now being like, you whore.
Exactly.
Such a It's not a real thing.
It's
this is
so
what I'm saying.
fucking
It's
insane.
created by men. It's either women who are jealous of how you carry yourself and your confidence, or it's men who want you but can't get you, and now there has to be a reason why they couldn't get you. Not because you didn't want them. It's because you're crazy. You're a slut anyway, and you know what I mean.
It's wild.
It's
anyways, this guy, so he kind of, I was with him for a couple of days, and I tried to keep my distance, but he would always kind of
slither in like they do.
And I never ever once complained, because had he not have been black in Germany, I would have, I mean, I say that maybe I would have also been like, oh, I don't want to embarrass him, But I feel like I would have probably way more quickly gone to production and said, look, this guy is fucking harassing me. You need to deal with this. But I couldn't do that in this sea of whiteness where already... But Tara, you don't understand. Everybody's already racist, right?
You don't want to perpetuate
you don't want to perpetuate this thing that white people already have. You know?
I hear what you're
and
saying.
And everything. They didn't have brown makeup for us because, you know, just like from the get-go, they're constantly addressing me in English. I'm like, yo, bitch, I'm German. Like, I'm German. Like, I speak German. Like, why are you... They think that I'm the mother, like the actual mother of like the brown kid. Like, just kept on doing shit when I'm like, guys, we're doing a film. Do you not understand that? I'm an actor
Being
right now.
black is fun, but it's tiring.
It was so exhausting. So, anyways,
exhausting.
I kind of just pushed through this whole thing, accepted his bullshit because I wasn't willing to like tell on him essentially, and I left the production only the day that they were teaching us a dance. They were teaching us a dance. And it was like oh, right, okay, you could have just said that. They were teaching us a dance, which was like African dance, but obviously it was like a white German woman that was teaching us. And I was like, yo guys, like I can't dance. Like I don't know what you want me to do, but I cannot do steps. Like, and they were like, no, just like you got it in your blood. You know, you're African. Just like shake that. You know, like it was so awkward. And that was for me. That was like, I'm gonna just bounce. Like ready, you've got like this white German woman teaching us like I don't know. Like,
but that's always the situation.
So
in primary school, we had a white lady teaching us Zulu, where us as Zulu kids had to be like, no man, that's not how you say that. Like it's always that's always the
no man. It was awkward.
I know it.
And also, how do you go? Like, no, you've got it in your blood. I'm like, I'm telling you, I cannot dance. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm telling you with my mouth,
with
your roots.
With your roots, yeah.
I walked out. I was like, okay, I'm good, guys. But I should have walked out a lot earlier. You should have reported him.
But yeah, I think we must stop trying to carry the whole black community on our back, because this is how we get abused, because you're trying to preserve and protect the black man, and not all of them deserve. Not a lot of them do deserve it, but a lot of them don't also.
But this is the thing. It wasn't about protecting him. It was about not perpetuating or not allowing these white people to be what's the word? To be on their racism, you know?
But that's still protecting him.
But it wasn't about him specifically. I didn't care about him. It was literally about like what does that mean for these white people? They're gonna be like, oh yeah, the black dude. Oh yeah, the African. Of course, he was like. I mean, the thing is.
You weren't trying to, because in that other case you were.
What was the other case?
With the guy by the car.
Oh yeah. Definitely, it was more about him. But in this situation, it was really about like, I know Berlin and I know how people think, and I don't want to perpetuate that.
But
and
the
it's
fact
not.
that
I know
even
that's
outside,
not me.
but even outside of Berlin, you still had the same reaction.
Yeah, because Cape Town, you know these white people.
I think, yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. We've digressed, eh?
We did digress.
But it's kind of all intertwined.
Yeah.
It's all. I mean, I don't know how to separate slut shaming from these kind of experiences. To me, it's all the same thing. It's about women not being valued in all aspects of themselves. Yeah.
What do we do about it?
Feel like you're important enough to protect yourself before you protect someone else. And if it means someone must be embarrassed, then someone must be embarrassed. If it feels,
you mean like outside of the house, but also inside of the bed, Like, if
Yeah. I didn't, but yeah, absolutely. If someone must be embarrassed, then someone must be embarrassed. And if it means that, in that instance, there might be someone who's going to be like, there's the black man again being, violent or harassing, then for your safety, that's what it must be. Because you're going to keep quiet trying to protect someone who's going to slap you when you say no for the fifth time, or you know what I mean. I was like 12 years old, and my dad sent me to the store. I went to the store. Luckily, a friend of mine was with me who was crazy. Like, she was physically, like, she had a temper problem, so she would beat down anybody and everybody. She didn't give a fuck. I was like, no. So we're walking to the store, literally like from your room to like outside of the street, so close to the house. This group of guys was like, okay, girl, what's up. And I was like, no, leave me alone. And he kicked me. Cute. And he kicked me. My friend was like, ah! And I kind of ran home and I told my uncles. My uncles were like, but like, and I wasn't rude. I was a child. I wasn't rude. I must have been in like grade 8 or 9. I wasn't like, no, I was literally like, just like, and still kicked me. I've never forgotten that. So in my mind, a man will go from 0 to violence like that. So with that in mind, you can't be worried about protecting them from what they think or whatever. Like, fuck that. And so many women have had that experience where it goes from, my baby is to fuck you, and you're just like, oh, bruh, whoa. Like, I wasn't even rude. So quickly. I think you'll never stop slut shaming. I think we just need to not care about it. I think that's how but you're never going to stop people from slut shaming. You just need to we need to get to a point where if you're slut shamed, it's like, okay, anyway, I'm going to go continue having my nice sex while you call me where it doesn't affect you anymore, and you can just laugh it off and just be like, whatever. In high school, I don't remember talking about important shit like this. Like, I don't remember having, like, now, like, they always say that if men could hear what women talk about, they would be, like, blown away. But, like, for real, like, I've had conversations with women about positions and, sexual positions and periods and, like, just, like, things that are supposed to be taboo, but you sit in a group of women and everyone's sharing and no one's like, ew, that's gross, girl. They're like, oh, really? Oh, okay, I didn't think you were like, okay. It's a positive reinforcement, and also on the internet as well. Like, all the things that you thought were weird or gross or that were wrong with your body, like, talking to other women, you're like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm actually, like, it's not weird that I have, I don't know, 3 nipples or, like, hair coming out of my ass. This is not a personal, I'm just throwing out.
That's so funny that you had to add that.
Just to be clear, I'm just saying things off of.
That's funny actually, because I've been listening to a lot of like comedy podcasts, and like the women, like the female comics are so fucking open, and they will say shit like they're like talking about shaving their assholes and their, it's like just like everything is just open, and it's like, it's just like you can like breathe and like, okay, that's great. Now I know. Great. Now I know.
It makes you more like confident in every aspect of your life. Well. Like
100%. I mean, I'm all for like being open with everything, not in particular about sexuality, just in general. I feel like because people are so fucking similar, and you realize as soon as you open and converse, like, oh, I mean, even just like this example of with having alopecia and losing your hair. Like, I had alopecia when I was at 21, and I hid it, man, and it was like exhausting hiding it. Like, honestly, I was wearing like, because I was in Germany at the time, so they already had like straight ass like white people wigs.
silky blonde.
So I'd like wear that or not leave the house, or like wear like a doek or whatever. But I was always hiding, and like part of the pain so much, not even just having alopecia and being like, what the fuck is wrong with my body, it was just hiding, because you feel like it's a shit feeling to have to hide yourself. And now when I lost my hair, like whatever, 2 years or a year ago, whatever, I've just been like, you know, very open, very vocal about it, and I'm getting people like writing to me like, oh my god, I have alopecia as well, like, oh shit, like I thought I was the only one. I'm like, I've been combing over and I'm like hiding it. I'm like, yeah, like we share so many similar experiences, and we're so much taught to hide and cover up and not address these things, and the shame is so big when you're hiding stuff that it's so fucking painful. And I'm all for like, or even mental health things. Like,
That's what I was thinking about the other day when I was like, dude, I'm really feeling depressed. I feel like I'm worthless and I'm useless and whatever. Yeah. And for you to be like, okay, I know, you know, it's not a sit there in your room, close the blinds and just not tell anyone.
No,
and not
man,
back and
people
forth.
have...
Now you feel like you can tell someone and they won't be like, okay, crazy.
I mean, it's also interesting because it's like, we're not special. I mean, it can be like a very relieving thing as well, to be like, I'm not special in my experience. Other people have shared this experience.
The world becomes bigger when you open your mouth. A lot bigger. The last thing, open your mouth, speak. That's it.
Open your mouth to speak, though.
To speak. Open your mouth to verbalize your emotions and your thoughts. Yeah. And don't bring anyone else. Try not to bring other people down for doing that. Try understand people. You don't always have to agree with people, but you have to respect that they have a different opinion, and the very least you can do as a human being is to try and understand someone else. That's literally why you're here, is to try and understand something outside of yourself. And to make the world a better place.
I'm ending it right there. Thank you. That was beautiful.